stated. Makes perfect sense to me. I just want you to know that.
Thank you.
K-12, the K-12 endorsement of, I don't want to use the word endorsement, because it means something different here. But the K-12 recognition on an RID level already means that you've got a 4.0. You can't apply for the K-12 if you have not obtained a 4.0 or passed the written exam anyhow. So when you say that you need to prove that you passed the 4.0, are you asking for people to send you the front letter that says that they got it? Because they already had to show that to RID to get the K-12 to even, and they had to pass the test. So is that what the proof is that you're asking for?
And the VA. You gotta have your degree too.
So that it's already a 4.0 before you can even be recognized and take the written. Otherwise, RID will get you for that endorsement.
And from a legal point of view, all I can say is, to date, the division has not recognized that under the rule you cite. I'm not saying, under the policy. Well, the rules don't recognize it for education specifically. They do recognize that this department
The rules
can.
explicitly that they will a division recognize certification.
And I'm saying
by saying the division recognizes the RID at K-12, it is satisfied by that specific line item within the rules and regulations. It is on page 9 of the rules and regulations. Would you like to see my copy?
We have. You talking about the rule, page 9 of the rule and regulations, or page 9 of the policy?
Page 9 of the rules and regulations, Rule 393.5026, educational interpreter qualifications.
Right.
Rule 26, line item B.
Right, and the division recognized certification that requires. And what I'm saying is, from a legal standpoint, all I can say is that hasn't happened yet.
Why not?
I can't.
That's our question. There are over 30 RID educational interpreters within the state of Michigan. There are over 30 of us, and we have satisfied stringent rules under the RID in order to obtain a higher level credential that is written into the rules and regulations. It is an RID certification, and it is also something that is written explicitly in here. So now all of a sudden, you're telling us it's not good enough. It's already written into the rules and regulations that it's allowable, and yet your internal policy is saying we're not going to recognize it. And that's our concern.
And why have the definition under the national certifications that are accepted if you were going to disregard it in your internal document of policies and procedures? It doesn't make any sense.
Yes, that's the other concern. There is no warning. Within the promulgation process of the rules and regulations, we knew ahead of time that there were certain certifications granted by the RID way back that were not going to be recognized for certain standard levels. And people had the opportunity to comment on that process. Nowhere along the lines were we ever told that there was a possibility that our certification would not be recognized. So we had been blindsided by this process. We were never given the opportunity to comment or put in any input. We are not disputing or arguing with the expectation of endorsement for an elementary level or endorsement for secondary level. Quite honestly, my personal feelings is that the idea of the state allowing an elementary EIPA to interpret in secondary settings is very upsetting. There are two separate evaluations for a very specific reason. That being said, I want to see that people have endorsements for elementary and endorsements for secondary. But what we don't want is all of our hard work to date blatantly disregarded for an apparently, in our opinion, arbitrary decision that violates what has already been established legally within the rules and regulations.
And I'm trying to find a way to say, it's not my arbitrary decision.
But it is an arbitrary decision.
I wouldn't say that it was arbitrary, but it's not one I can change because it's not mine. Maybe we need to set up a meeting, maybe to
That would be.
Let us know.
we will be there.
to plead the case. Because
Because I have to wonder, when the phrase at K-12 will not be recognized by the division was put into an internal policy, which can be changed at any time because it's an internal policy, that policy is not linked to the law. It is an internal decision which can be changed. When that was written, were any educational interpreters who held that credential consulted or asked about how it is they got what they got, what was required to have it, what's required to maintain it? Does the people who made that decision, do they understand what it is we do and how we had to get there? I can tell you, I was not asked.
And
I wasn't asked.
I thought they did, I didn't make the decision, we'll have to,
Who did
I
make
wanted
the
to-
decision?
Yeah. Who made the decision? It affects cycling,
Yeah.
it affects transcripts, it's everything, if that was your working credential. It affects the children.
ultimately,
Affects
decisions
my
of the
kid.
division are made by the director of the division with consultation of the director of the Department of Civil Rights, and in this case, the Department of Education. I'm not gonna point the finger at any one of those three people and say that's the one who, I'm telling you that if we get together,
And
I
we
would
need
bet
a
Annie
meeting
has the
with
power
those
to change it
people.
if she
Are they-
agrees
have
with
to
it.
get
So then to clarify, are you saying that those people are the ones who wrote your internal policy?
I was involved in writing them, there were a dozen people involved in writing them. The final draft was approved by those people.
So
I-
then what is the process to, appeal the
I'm
wording
saying-
and have it changed?
I think if after listening to you, Annie is convinced and she pleads that case, we can get it changed. We can get we can get that division recognized. That's within the power of the division. That's all I can say.
I'm happy to schedule a meeting with you, and I'll give you one of my business cards, I have them with me, give me an email tonight, and I'll set up a schedule with you tomorrow, or we'll schedule then I'll respond to your email tomorrow, rather. Okay, and I'm happy that you brought this up for discussion, I really appreciate it. And I know that there's a lot of information.
And then,
Do you have a question?
okay, so working K-12 and just knowing this is coming up, this new requirement for 4.0s, and knowing that there are a lot of people who aren't yet certified, and myself being that, I'm not yet a 4.0. And being in a situation and feeling a little bit of an ethical dilemma, and I'm feeling like I'm sweating right now thinking about it, of just school districts saying, well, we'll get a waiver. And if we can't get a waiver, well, we'll just have an IEP meeting and we'll change the IEP so it doesn't say a requirement of a sign language interpreter. Honestly, like, I've heard that conversation firsthand. So what do we do? I mean, legally, if the parent is clueless and is like, oh yeah, okay, sure, yeah, fine. Now, now the IEP has changed, so if a certified interpreter comes along, well, now we don't even need it, the IEP's changed, we don't need it. So, just feeling a lot of concern for that.
I'm happy that you brought that up. That is something that I'm concerned about myself.